Hi, I'm Evie Grisbeck, and welcome back to my podcast, Cleats Off, where a high school soccer player discusses the ins and outs of what it means to play girls' soccer in America. If you tuned in last month, you'll remember that this episode is going to cover recovery, one of the most important things a soccer player can do for themselves to ensure that their performance is at the highest level. I'll be mentioning quite a few scientific processes that happen in this process in today's episode, so I will do my best to explain that in a way that's simple to understand. Recovery is something many high schoolers tend to overlook because we are young and our bodies recover pretty quickly by themselves. While that may be true, neglecting recovery now can lead to damaged muscle over time. And while younger bodies recover fast, they could recover much more efficiently with science-backed techniques. Most people will tell you to drink water as you recover, and they are 100% correct. Water is one of the most important molecules in our bodies. It helps us do quite literally everything, from breaking down food to building proteins and even getting rid of waste. To explain this, I'm going to explain a little bit of biochemistry. I learned this in my college biology course I'm taking at the moment. So, water helps us and every other living thing build and break molecular bonds, which are the forces that hold molecules together. The majority of molecular bonds in our body are hydrogen bonds. This is why they can be broken down and built with water, eventually helping us build proteins for our cells and break down the foods we eat. Building polymers, which are essentially long chains of molecules, is called dehydration synthesis. This is done by bonding the hydroxide of one monomer to the hydrogen part of the hydroxide of another monomer. This creates a water molecule, which then separates from the new joined molecule. Once this happens enough, a large polypeptide chain forms. This chain will begin to fold and turn into a protein. These proteins can be enzymes. Enzymes are special proteins that catalyze, or in other words, speed up, the breakdown and building of more complex molecules. When these enzymes break down molecules, something called hydrolysis happens. This is the opposite of dehydration synthesis. A polymer is broken down into two monomers by adding water. The water binds to the two monomers and breaks them back into two hydroxides. These two processes are happening at all times in our body. This is why water is so important, even to a person just sitting on their couch all day. And it's even more important for athletes who are constantly moving and straining their muscles. Every time we do intense exercise that is beyond our normal range, micro tears develop in our muscles. This can happen after team lifting sessions, intense trainings, and especially games. To repair these micro tears, the enzymes in our muscle cells need water to break down damaged proteins and dead cells. These parts must be broken down into small molecules to leave our bodies. Enzymes also activate stem cells to help rebuild the cell. Stem cells act as the body's internal repair system, mending and fixing damaged tissues and organs. All of this cannot be done if you are severely dehydrated after exercise. So knowing that hydrating yourself is incredibly important to the recovery process, you're probably asking me how to get yourself to stay hydrated even though water probably isn't your favorite thing to drink. It's not mine either. There are a couple things I will tell you about this. During recovery, you can't just drink any liquid and think that you're hydrating yourself to the fullest extent. Thinking you're hydrating yourself by having 5 cups of coffee a day will have the opposite effect that you're hoping for. This is because even though coffee is 98% water, it's actually a diuretic. The best way to hydrate yourself after intense exercise is just water, though electrolytes can also be very beneficial to your body's healing process. Things like Gatorade and electrolyte mixes are great. The next thing I will tell you is that prehydrating before exercise will make your recovery easier. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't rehydrate yourself after a workout. It just means that you should be able to work longer and you will not be severely dehydrated after. Another thing most people do to help their muscles recover from intense workouts is stretching. Stretching is so important because it helps prevent stiffness, soreness, and reduces injury risk. Stiffness can be very hard to play through, as your range of motion is limited. It, when combined with soreness, is also very painful, as pushing past this range of motion stretches the muscle in a less controlled way. Stiffness can lead to increased injury risk, especially for things like muscle tears and strains. Strains are very painful and can take athletes out of competition for weeks, while tears can take athletes out for months and may need medical intervention. All this to say, you should not overlook stretching as part of your recovery. You should be doing dynamic stretching before workouts and static stretching right after workouts, before you go to bed and after you wake up. This amount of stretching will ensure that your muscles don't get too stiff and that you can get back to training quickly. Dynamic stretching is different from static stretching as it combines game-like movements with stretches. This helps prime the body and helps prevent stiffness during and after the workout. Some very important stretches for soccer players include the standing quad stretch, which targets the muscles in the front part of the upper leg, the hamstring stretch, which involves sitting with legs spread apart and leaning forward towards the leg with the back kept straight, the calf stretch, which can be done in many different ways, like using a wall or being in a push-up position with your heel to the ground. These stretches focus on the main muscle groups that are used while playing soccer, but stretching your other muscles is also very important. Stretches that target the groin, hip flexor, glutes, shoulder, and lower back are great to include in recovery stretching sessions. Another important step in recovery is sleep. Sleep is essential to helping your muscle fibers repair themselves. Your body releases growth hormone during your deepest stage of sleep. Growth hormone tells the cells and tissues in your body to duplicate by mitosis. This is especially necessary when your muscle fibers need repairing. So getting good sleep is extremely important. It's also very difficult, especially for student athletes. Stress can make you sleep much lighter, causing you to never reach the REM stage. This means that the growth hormone will never be released and your muscles will not be able to repair themselves as fast. One thing you can do is to be without screens for about an hour before you go to bed. Melatonin is a hormone that you may have heard of before, and it helps you fall asleep. Your body is signaled to release melatonin when light levels get low. Screens disrupt this signal by shining bright lights directly into your eye. I know this is difficult, especially for teenagers. I am a culprit of sitting in my bed on my phone before falling asleep, but this is not helping me, nor is it helping you. It makes you more tired the next day, which can hurt your performance and also your schoolwork. Recovery looks different for me depending on how much time I have to recover. When I have short amounts of time to recover, like between tournament games, I prioritize hydration and stretching. When I have longer spurts, like between off-season trainings, I tend to stretch my recovery out over days. Every day will stretch and hydrate. I also try extra hard to prioritize my sleep during this period. On the second day of recovery, I like to go on a walk. This helps activate your muscles in a very mellow way. Activation encourages repair, which is essential to recovery. It is also extremely good for your mood. If I can't go out for a walk, like in the winter, I like to do yoga. It combines stretching with something that is calming and good for your mind. Recovery isn't just about your body, it's also about your brain. Reading and drawing or doing hobbies that you enjoy are great ways to help your mind recover. Putting all this together will help you recover the right way so that your mind and body can be ready to do the demanding work that soccer entails. Speaking of demanding work, next episode I will be talking all things recruiting and college soccer with one of my teammates. Listen to your body, and I'll catch you next episode.